Welcome today for Real Business Breakthrough TV show. I'm your host, Judy Jewett, and I am so grateful that you're watching the show, and I hope that you will share it with other people. And this show is to inspire you. It is going to have people from all walks of life that are experts in their field. And the one thing we all have in common is we are spiritual and we are heart centered. And other than that, we all do many, many different things. And this is not about woo woo. It might be, but that's not the intention. This isn't just about regular business. But just so you know, REAL stands for release what doesn't serve you, embrace your authentic self, align with your passion, and live the life of your dream. So, with that being said, I would like to welcome you here. And I also I have to put my glasses back on. I would like to thank Monica Henderson, she's actually our guest today. Hello, Monica.
Hi, how are you doing today?
I am fantastic. And I do want everyone to know, just from the bottom of my heart, I'm so grateful to know you. You know, you are one of the new thought leaders. And I really am levitate to, I don't think levitate's the right word. I'm a magnet attracting people like you, Monica, that are here, in the age group that you're in, to shift the energy, to make changes in the world. And, it's not that things are always new, that we're trying something new. It's a whole different way of how we're doing it, right? And
Mhm.
sometimes you take something that hasn't worked real well, and then you're able to make it work better. So, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. I'm so excited to be a part of this experience and to help people with these real shifts. I love the acronym that you had there. It's great.
Yeah, and I do want to just read a little bit about you, and I'm going to use my phone. That's the upper generation. You don't need to print something off. You just grab your phone, right, and just read it. So,
Okay.
Monica's a lady. She's a wife. She's a mother, a Mongol, a jet setter, and a socialite. She's on a mission to change lives around the world by helping change makers, thought leaders, coaches, and experts live healthy, wealthy, and fulfilled. Now, what else is there in life? Healthy, wealthy, and fulfilled, right? Seriously. She is the founder and creator of Mink Life Motivation, a global life business branding and networking development specialist, event producer, motivational speaker, and host of MinkLife Motivation Life, author of a Visionaries Manifesto book series. And you're here to change the world, right? You are absolutely here to do that. And I'm just so honored to know you and have you be a part of Real Business Breakthrough. So,
I, I'm so
yeah,
excited.
yeah. So, I do want to dive into how you started the last couple years, but before I do that, let's just go a little bit deeper, okay?
Okay.
So, what I'd like to know is what transpired in your life. What was that pivoted moment in your life that you knew you had to change, that
Yeah.
you knew you had to grow, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, tell us about that.
I think we all have these moments. I don't know that we all kind of reflect on them often or share them as often as I get to share my change. But there was this point in time. I was on the date with this guy at a spiritual center, Agape International here in Los Angeles, and uh, I was at the time agnostic and had really kind of decided to do my spirituality my own way after growing up really religious and spending a lot of time in the Kojic church. And so I thought I was cute. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go and I'm have this date with this guy because this is his spiritual center. And I got all cute and we showed up. And um, everything about the experience felt like a traditional church. So it kind of had me off guard a little bit because that's not what I was expecting. And so the choir got up and they were really great. And I was like, okay, well, I like that part. And then Michael Bernard Beckwith, who is the founder of the Spiritual Center, you might know him as the author of The Secret, one of the authors of The Secret. He got up and he started speaking. And what he was talking about was how sometimes things have to go to chaos before they're put back together again. And this period of chaos is necessary for the development and the unfolding of us as our being in our beings. And I was like, okay. And a lot of the things he said resonated with how I believed and how I felt. And I had a lot of stuff, right? We all have stuff, right? But I had a lot of those excuses. Now I see them as excuses of like why I don't do something. And I had like great stories written about why this is the reason why I'm the way that I am. And, one of the things was that I never, ever wanted to get married. And I never imagined myself living in a urban city. And I never imagined myself, just doing all kinds of things. And what I didn't know at the time is all of those reasons why that I was justifying this existence was really out of fear and out of um, planning my life on what I don't want, right? I don't want this. Therefore, I'm going to create my life this way. And he began to walk us through this meditation. And the meditation, he had us plant an acorn in our soul, right? And as I was planting this acorn in my soul and imagining what an oak tree life would look like for myself, I began to like cry uncontrollably. I mean, tears are just like flowing down my face, makeup's all messed up. I'm no longer cute on this date. And it was an ugly cry, I think. But I saw everything in my life. I saw me married. I saw me successful and happy and I felt it through and through my body. And that was really that catalyst moment for me to realize that I had been kind of excusing away, what I really should be doing with my time and energy and how I should be living my life to keep me comfortable in this space. And so he walked us through this meditation, we plant the acorn, and then there is this statement that I feel like were the magic words that unlocked everything for me. And the statement was, I am ready to live the life I'm supposed to live, come what may. And that come what may part, I sometimes think, had I known better, I probably wouldn't have said come what may. But that statement of come what may really started a genesis of change in my life that allowed the universe to conspire for my good, allowed everything to fall into place in exactly the way it was supposed to. And so I left that service, he, reassured me, are you okay? Like you were really emotional there. I hope that was good emotion. But it led me to understand that relationship wasn't for me. It was never going to end in marriage. And at that point, I had realized that I do want to be married one day. I had seen it in my vision, and I realized that I am meant to be in a more vibrant city, and I am meant to have more wealth and health in my life. And I wasn't in that space at all. I wasn't even aligned or in position to have all of those things occur. So I took that moment and I continued to kind of reflect on what it is that vision that I had was. And 2 months later, I say there was a series of unfortunate events always put you in alignment. Always. It always comes with a series of unfortunate events. And if you look at those events separately and by themselves and siloed, you think, wow, that is horrible luck. That is the worst possible thing. But in a lot of ways, it really set me up for success. So I had decided that I was going to only be an entrepreneur. I was no longer going to work for anyone else. I was always going to be my own business owner. Even got the tattoo to commemorate this moment, right? And decided that I was going to take the big the big leap. And when I took that big leap and I said those words, come what may, the universe was like, you're not where you're supposed to be. So I'm driving down the street to one of my new clients in my new business. I have $800 to my name. I need these clients. I need this business so that I can kind of keep living my life. And my car overheats in 2.3 seconds. It goes from just fine to completely overheating. By the time I pull over to the side of the road, I have smoke coming out of the car, and this is, you know, a beater. It wasn't like a great car. It was cash, and I could afford it. And so I pulled over to the side of the road, and instantly my car is DOA. Right, it's gone. Like the block cracks. I no longer have a car, but where I'm living, not really aligned to being able to get to places very well. I'm in Lake Elsinore, which is a beautiful town nestled in a valley that has no public transportation coming in or out of it. So living there could no longer happen. And I had a 2-year-old at the time, and I couldn't provide for my child. So I had to figure out what I was going to do. So I hired some people to move me out in 3 days, gave notice to my landlord, and began to sleep on a couch, a rollout thing in someone's living room so that I could figure out my next steps. And that all seems like horrible timing and a horrible existence. Here I am, a mother of a 2-year-old with $800 to my name. Can't get to any of these new clients that I desperately needed in order to maintain my life. Everything I own is in a storage, and life looked incredibly bleak, right? And all of the people in my life were saying, well, that was fun. You tried that. Now you should go get a job, right? It's, you know, obviously the universe is telling you this is not for you. This is not the thing that you should do. So you should just go get a job. And I, that night, cried quietly so I wouldn't wake my child as she laid next to me on this rollout bed, and decided I can never, ever, 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 ever be here again. This can never be my space. She's 2. She won't remember this, right? She will not recognize this moment in our lives. And if I'm going to be the woman that I need to be, and I've seen what I could be in this vision, I need to do something different. And that was the very beginning of my journey to really lean into who I am going to be. I call it the oak tree version of myself, as opposed to the acorn version of myself. In order for that to happen, I was going to have to shed some of those limiting beliefs, those fears, the things that I've justified being in my life. I'm going to have to reevaluate all of that, because I really can't ever be in this space again. And so that was the beginning of my journey.
That is beautiful. So fast forwarded how many years?
Fast forwarded 4 years, I was able to, that immediately I told a lie. Immediately after that, I told a lie to the people I was staying with, that I was going to go look for a job, and they were more than happy to watch my child while I went to look for a job. And I did not do that. Instead, what I did was I took myself to the dollar store, bought a pack of pens and a notebook, and decided I was going to map out something different. And my religious background, one of the things you do in church is you testify, right? So you stand up in front of church and you give your testimony about how God has blessed you in so many ways. And so I decided that I was going to ask myself all the hard questions and some of the dumb questions that we don't get to ask ourselves, and find the answer for those in that week. And at the end of the week, I was going to have a clear vision of what I wanted for myself. It was going to be so crystal clear that I could feel it. And I wrote a testimony. So I asked myself, what is health, what is wealth, and what is fulfillment? Because those were the 3 things that I wanted so desperately. And I answered those questions, the hard questions, in that, like, And some of the easier ones that we're too embarrassed to ask, like, what is a diversified portfolio, right? Like, everyone always says you need a diversified portfolio, and people are like, but I'm like, but what is in a diversified portfolio in the first place? They say this, but I actually don't know what it means. I pretend I do, but I don't really know. And so I did research for that. I did research for what does health look like? What does healthy look like for me and my body, right? There isn't a picture of health, but is that the health that I want? What is wealth itself? And I had to kind of define all those things. And when I defined those things, I put them in a testimony and I wrote a story as though I was standing in front of a group of people sharing what I had been through and how I have come off to the other side. And then I decided that that story was the only story that was going to be true ever. And so everything I do right now has to walk me closer to that story. And if it doesn't walk me closer to that story, then I am not living my truth. And so I was able to get everything in that story in 4 years. And when I say everything in that story, I mean down to the floor and direction of the house that I moved into in the neighborhood that I wanted off by one block, right? Everything I wanted, I was able to get in that story. But it required a lot of focus and reminding myself that, like, the decision I make today can't be the comfortable decision if I'm going to be comfortable in the future, right? So making choices like taking a position in the neighborhood that I want to live in, because my mom always told me, when you have a job, you can get a job. That's how that works, right? So as long as you have a job, you can get a job. It's when you don't have a job, it's when it's way harder. So I took, a position in the city, in the neighborhood that I wanted to work in order for me to start living faster the life that I want to live. But that was an hour and a half bus ride commute, right? An hour and a half each way. Discomfort in that moment. But now now I actually just sit in my living room and Zoom all over the world, right? But even some of those steps closer into, I ended up living and working in the same neighborhood. So I would just walk 8 minutes and I would be at my clients, right? I would walk 10 minutes and be at another client. And so I would walk across the street to the grocery store. So that discomfort in those early stages allow for great comfort later on in life. But I had to be super focused on what the end result was in that story. I got everything, including the husband. And funny enough, he came with the success symbol of the person I was dating at the time. I have a type. Well, no, some people have. I have a type: bald men with, tall, athletic build, goatee. Really, any race, as long as that's the description, we're good, right? And so, the guy I was dating at the time had that basic description. And when I wrote in my story, I was like, I want to be successful, and I want the person I'm with to have their success too. So I wrote his success symbol in, which was a BMW. And when I met my husband, he already owned the BMW and he had exactly the same description. So everything aligned directly to that, and continues to align to that story in some really spooky woo ways. Sometimes I am in disbelief at how I was able to literally write my happy ending and then move into that house, not only for just 4 years later, with diligence and doing my due diligence and showing up and making those decisions along the way.
That's absolutely beautiful, and I appreciate that. It's very heartfelt. Michael Beckwith will be in San Francisco at the New Living Expo that I will be at May the 6th to the 8th. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
hoping to personally meet him.
Yeah.
Yeah, because of course I watched the movie The Secret and I followed him, and I like his mojo. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And then back to your story, what's really, you've got a very special gift, and it still isn't easy for everybody. So you have a gift to be able to detail things out. You're a big picture girl as well as the details. And that is hard. I'm a big picture person.
Mm-hmm.
And I could write down, which I did early on, wrote down, and I wasn't aware of it until my 30s about, okay, well, if you want something, write it down, right? And I would just write down a sentence and it would be, well, I want this or I want that. Actually, I started manifesting and being aware of it when I was 20, well, younger than that. I keep going back. Now, wait a minute. I was an entrepreneur when I was like this big, right? And I could do this and I was making things happen at a very early age. But the point is, yes, but when I learned to write it down, then yes, it does come faster. It
Mm-hmm.
really does. But I found that I didn't need to know all the steps, but it was important to get clear because then you have to just takes twice as long to get what you want. Because
Yes.
you get something, it's not exactly, you got to go back over and over again. So do you teach people, do you help them walk them through those steps? Because you're a generator and a manifester,
Yeah.
right? So I mean, that is, I told you, that's a real gift. And I don't have the detailed gift. And I struggle with it. It
Yeah.
it it doesn't come out of my mouth, out of my head to be able to put the words onto paper. I'm not a writer.
Yeah.
It's been a deficit or a challenge, not a deficit, a challenge of mine. So, do you teach people how to do it?
I do. One of the things that we do uh, is we really help people sit down and do what I did in that park that day, right? And a lot of the times, what we say is, I have a pain. I got to move out of this pain. I'm going to move on to the next thing, and whatever's in front of me is the next thing that I'm going to choose. But we don't necessarily reflect on what our true heart's desire is. And so in our program, we kind of have like a 5-step way to really kind of reflect in and tap into what your true heart's desire is and the first steps you need to take, but also having the bigger picture in mind. What apparently I'm able to do a bit better than, or, that I did innately is something that can be taught and can be learned and developed and then become your way of operating. But a lot of the times when we think about things, we don't necessarily know that it doesn't require a big brain to get in detail with something. And I know that's one of
That's
the
right.
things that you're saying you struggle with. You're like, oh, but I can't do the details. I don't know how to bring it down to that granular level, but I'll give you an example of it. What is one thing that you want? Want just anything, name anything.
Well, I was going to tell you in the business world, in sales, I would say, well, okay, it's 1996. I think I want to make $96,000, right?
Mhm.
So I would come up with goals like that. And then
Yes.
I would follow, my steps were I would do what my boss told me to do, that,
Yeah.
okay, well, then you need to do this. But I was never one that cared about how many people I had to talk to
Yeah.
sell. I never, those things didn't interest me. All I cared about was the passion I had to get
Mhm.
what I want. And then what would happen for me is it would all evolve and it would just happen. And the universe had my back and the universe put the pieces in
Mhm.
order. But when it comes down to detailed about the details, okay, well, I want this business. Well, this is how much money I want to make. Well, okay, so how many people do I, want to da 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 with? Then I get off on that. I mean, I don't get off on it. It just
It just
it's too
it's
much.
hard.
I have to, yeah. But if I write it down every day, that
Right.
sentence, I'm
But
so
see,
grateful for having.
here's the thing. So what does that $96,000 give you? Because
Well, that's it.
money is just an exchange of energy, right? And the reason why you want that $96,000 is really the true motivation behind getting the 96,000 dollars, right? And so if you want $96,000 a year, And the reason why is because you want to have enough money to take care of all of your bills, and you want to have enough money left over to put something away for your future, so you don't have to worry about your future. And you want enough money to be able to do fun things in the process, right? So you want to have some experiences, and you want to have some be able to, express yourself by using your time however you want. Then ultimately it's not the $96,000 you want, it's the life that allows you to have these experiences and to be able to express yourself, and to be able to help people in the way that you want to help. If you focus on those things, right, and being able to get into those things, then the actual amount of money you need is less. So $96,000 and being focused on that as the vision is hard, because then you're chasing dollars, as opposed to if I had a $96,000 lifestyle, what does that look like?
You're right.
Well,
No, you're exactly right. You're right. That's it.
yeah. And so what we do in the program is we really identify, what is the life I want to live?
Right.
First, before we even talk about money, what is the life I want to live? How can I show up every day and be like, can you believe this? This is so amazing. Or the inner you is looking at the younger you is looking at the you that you are today and being like, man, I grew up to be amazing. If we can get you there, money follows excellence. The money will get there, right? The activity of being that person will get you there. But if you're chasing stuff, if you're chasing dollars, it will always be a chase, and it will always elude you.
Yes. Yes. So the only reason I wanted 96 is I thought, well, I don't know how much I want. I mean, I'd been a housewife, raising children. I was divorced. I wasn't living with all of my children. When you're divorced, I have 4 kids. So my husband and I both had custody of them, but they all weren't with me all the time. And so I wanted the money to spend more time with my children and do more things. And that was the huge motivator. Now, another time I thought, well, I don't want to keep going on, but there have been other reasons. You're exactly right. It's what you want. You have to feel that you will do. Like right now, my mission is to empower 1 million people. So I don't have time to sit around, right? I have to, it just doesn't happen overnight. And
It can, but it can.
No, and I may
Here's
never retire. Joyce, I never will.
It can. And so here's what it is. When we refocus from the money and we focus on the actual expression of what we want that money to do, right? Then how that has to come about becomes different, right? Because if I'm only focused on getting $96,000, then how I come about getting $96,000 is a mathematical equation of talk to this many people, get them to sign up for these many things and do these things. But that's not fun or sexy, right? Not fun or sexy. But if I can help 1 million people have a breakthrough, even if those 1 million people give me $1 each, I got more than $96,000.
No, you know what? Yes, you're exactly right. We have gone over in time. I couldn't help it. This has been so wonderful. Could you please let the listeners know where to find you?
Absolutely. So I am at MinkLifeMotivation.com. You can go to my website and find us there, where you can learn about our community. We have an entire ecosystem to support people who are we have people in our community who are offering real help in real time. So we have 12 hours of engagement on Zoom every single day. We also have a private community where you can stay connected in. We have conferences and courses and amazing people like Judy who are there, heart-centered, results-oriented, and really looking for the end result for you, to make sure that you are living the life that you want to live, because it is your birthright to live your life designed by you, healthy, wealthy, and fulfilled. So go to MinkLifeMotivation.com and learn more about our community.
Thank you very much. And you can, if you want to know more about your energy, I do read energy blueprints of people, or I call it the energy signature of what you are, how are you really projecting yourself. You can go to realresultsmap.com. Real, R-E-A-L, results, R-E-S-U-L-T-S, map.com. So it's realresultsmap.com. Thank you very much. I just am so honored to be here with you today. I look forward to playing more with you and having a lot of fun. I just love your energy. I love the fact that you're really a new thought leader and that I know you. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you for having me. This has been a blast. We could do this all day. So I'm so excited.
We actually could. We really could. Yeah. Okay. Namaste. Thank you.